So, what is the real secret to building an audience? If you have been posting online and hearing crickets, maybe you have been publishing a blog or you've released a few episodes of a podcast and you feel frustrated because no one is listening or taking action and you're not seeing your calendar fill up with appointments yet, then you need to listen to this video. Eleanor Beaton here. Welcome to the 2%, our weekly live show where we share scaling strategies for women entrepreneurs. Together with my team, with Team Fierce, we are on a mission to double the number of women entrepreneurs who scale and succeed to seven figures and beyond, because we know that the key to solving the gender equity problems that we see worldwide is really through unleashing the power of women entrepreneurs. And here's the thing. One of the most important things that you need to have as an entrepreneur in order to scale and succeed to seven figures and beyond is a vast pool of prospects. So in this video, I'm going to share the real secret to building an audience, a highly engaged audience of prospects who love you and your work. They see the value and they are ready to engage with you. Really quick, speaking of building an audience, speaking of creating fantastic content, this is a very important time for entrepreneurs. Yes, we are experiencing an economic downturn, but there's a lot of research out there that backs up what you as an entrepreneur need to do today in order to ensure your company stays as healthy as possible during this downturn. In order to be able to see if your business can actually flourish during this downturn and rebound quickly on the back end of it. If you go to adversitymarketing.com, I have created very powerful training. It will not be up for long, so you definitely want to go to adversitymarketing.com to watch a powerful on-demand training I have created for entrepreneurs just like you, where I really outline some of the key things you need to be doing in your marketing today in order to ensure your business not only thrives over the next few quarters, but that you are positioning yourself for success through 2021, adversitymarketing.com. Okay, what's the real secret to building an audience? It comes down to one of my favorite words, consistency. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Here's a question for you. What do Oprah Winfrey, Katie Couric, and the women of The View have in common? Consistent daily TV. How did Marie Forleo sell tens of thousands of people into her online course, B School? What was the heart of that? A consistent weekly TV show. Consistency is the unglamorous, somewhat boring, oatmeal flavored solution that otherwise brilliant entrepreneurs consistently ignore in favor of bright, shiny objects. And you know this. I know that you know this. There is no such thing as an overnight success. You know, when you look at any breakaway results, the person who did $300,000 in an online launch using this particular methodology, the best-selling nonfiction author, the fact is that these epic results are built on consistency and on years or months of consistent audience building. And when I say months, that's when you've got people who are showing up and hitting it hard on the daily, okay? It is all about consistency. You know, a couple of years ago, Rachel Hollis seemed to blast out of nowhere with her best-selling books. The first one was something called Girl Wash Your Face. Then last year, she comes out with Girl Stop Apologizing, which actually ended up being one of the biggest nonfiction books of 2019. She seemed to come out of nowhere. Guess what? Rachel Hollis has been blogging since 2008, 11 years, you know, until she 11 years between when she started blogging and she had one of the biggest books of 2019. Atomic Habits, another blockbuster book from last year. James Clear had been blogging consistently since 2012. All right. So consistency is something that is consistently overlooked by entrepreneurs who are really looking to build their audience. And I get it. It can be painful to show up every single day, week after week, doing something, especially when you feel that no one is listening. The problem is that too few entrepreneurs will last long enough to have anyone really begin to pay attention to their work, right? So it becomes a war of attrition. And, and the good news there is that all you really need is grit. Like if you can have the grit and the determination to consistently show up, will you be able to improve the quality of your content? Of course. Will you be able to improve the quality of your overall marketing? Of course. But without that underbelly, without that foundation of consistency, you just don't have what you need you don't have the platform in order to be able to help you grow. So I wanted to take a moment just to break something apart, because it's easy to, and I know for many of you, you're going to be like, I have heard, Eleanor, I've heard all about consistency. I've heard that it's so important. You've talked about this. I was teaching a class yesterday, and I was like really driving this point home because it is so paramount. But I want to, when we hear things, we can sometimes sort of overlook just how important they are. So why do you think, and go ahead and post in the comments, why do you think consistency is the key to building an audience? Okay. Why is it so important? Why do we see it consistently over time? There's no such thing as an overnight success. Breakout results are really built on months and years of consistent effort. Why is consistency so important when it comes to building an audience? Go ahead and post your answers in the comments. I want to see them. And while you're posting them, I want you to think about this. When you are consistent in how you show up, when you are consistent in your content creation, you are broadcasting two messages to your audience. And you will never say these messages, but this is what your actions are saying to the marketplace. Number one, I am serious. Number two, I am trustworthy. Okay. So people who show up consistently day after day, Oprah Winfrey was not a fly-by-night TV host. She showed up and produced that show and did daily TV for years. Okay. The women of The View, they produce that show every day, getting up at whatever time it is, 2 a.m. to consistently produce that show. What does that commitment share to the marketplace? I am serious and I am trustworthy. Okay. And who do people follow? People that they trust. Okay. So consistency breeds trust, and it shows people you take this, what you're doing, seriously. And again, do we follow or put our trust and faith into people who kind of flit around? No, we put our trust into brands who are serious and who are trustworthy, who are deserving of our trust and attention. Now, I want you to contrast this. And for some of you guys, it's going to be a little bit of tough love. Okay. And so understand there's no judgment in this at all. We're just talking about facts. And this is an opportunity for you to ask yourself some powerful questions and maybe do some self-coaching here to really help you understand how you're showing up. And if you're not showing up consistently, why you aren't. Okay. And this is something that we inside our company absolutely are, it's something that otherwise committed entrepreneurs struggle with. So we absolutely coach and talk to people about this every single day because it's an issue. So if you are experiencing what I'm about to share with you, understand there's no heat or judgment here, but I'm giving a little bit of tough love because I do care about you. And I really care about the health and well-being of small businesses, especially women-owned small businesses, which are nearest and dearest to my heart, and just how critical we are as engines of the global economy, how critical and actually how overlooked. But that's a tangent I won't go down today. So here's the thing. If you show up and disappear, so if you show up, you release a couple of videos, or you release 5 episodes of your podcast, or you put up some social posts and you didn't get crickets, you didn't get the love and attention that you wanted. And so you disappeared, or other things, got on your plate. And so you had to drop it for now. When you show up and disappear, when you're consistent for a little bit and then you drop off, what message, what subtle, insidious message are you unwittingly broadcasting to the marketplace? I'm not serious. I'm not trustworthy. Okay. This is where the tough love is. And you might be like, wow, that's a bitter pill to swallow. Or for those of us who came of age in the 90s, that's a jagged little pill. And yes, it is. But remember, consistency, when we consistently show up, the message that we are sending to the marketplace is, I am serious, I am trustworthy. When we show up and disappear, when we are inconsistent in terms of how we're showing up to the marketplace, we are also broadcasting a message. And that message is, I'm not serious and I'm not trustworthy. Big audiences follow people they trust. We are humans. An audience is made up of humans, and humans follow and listen to people that they trust. If they don't trust you yet, they won't follow you. This is why consistency is the key, right? And most entrepreneurs, and I see this time and again, will stop building their audience. They will stop the blogging. They will not be committed to creating the videos. They will not be committed to the content creation. Therefore, they never last long enough to actually build an audience. They quit when they were actually en route, like they were on the path, and they just step off the path for a number of different reasons. Again, big audiences or people in general follow people they trust. If they don't trust you, they won't follow you. To quote Abraham Lincoln, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. Okay. So if you're not showing up consistently, you are broadcasting a message to the market. And my question for you is that the message you want to be sending? And again, there's all kinds of reasons, and you can have all kinds of reasons about why you're not being consistent. But is that generating the results that you want? Are you happy with the results that you have? And if not, then it's time to get really consistent. Okay. Again, it's boring. You've heard it before. It tastes like oatmeal and it works. Okay. So yesterday, I was leading a class called Marketing Through Adversity, just an incredible group of entrepreneurs. And I was so passionate about driving this point home. I was like, I need to drive it home again today on my live. And what I was saying is, guys, if you're not willing to consistently show up for a non-existent audience or a small audience, you will never earn the privilege of consistently showing up for a larger audience. I can remember when I first started my podcast, Fierce Feminine Leadership, in 2016, I released 3 episodes per week for 18 months. And I actually did not know how to log into Libsyn. I didn't even know that I could look at my downloads. And so for months, I don't think I looked at Libsyn and my downloads until October. And I started my podcast in April. And I appreciate that because it meant I really wasn't looking at the results of the podcast. I was focused on the creation and the consistency of the content and material. And that mindset shift was everything, right? It was absolutely everything. So here are some tips to help you consistently show up and build the audience. Okay. So number 1, choose your preferred medium. So, I'm a former radio journalist, right? I worked for, I was a reporter for CBC radio. It was a news radio. I told my news stories, or didn't tell my news stories. I reported on the news. And I actually was a print journalist as well. So I started out blogging. And then I transitioned. That was great. And then I decided, you know what? My love was radio journalism. I'm going to start a podcast. And then I transitioned into live video. So I actually still do all 3, but primarily my podcast, which is Fierce Feminine Leadership, and live video, which I love. Okay. So choose your preferred medium. You don't have to do them all. Just do one. The one that feels most natural to you, and the one where you're going to be able to show up most consistently over time. All right. So choose your preferred medium. Guys, if you could put these tips in the comments, that will help everyone out. So number 1, choose your preferred medium. Number 2, embrace sucky first drafts. Now, the S isn't actually sucky, but I'm just going to say sucky first drafts. There's a great book called Bird by Bird by a writer named Anne Lamott. Check it out. She's got a whole chapter on sucky first drafts, except it's not sucky, it's another S word. But I will share, so many of you, and this is part of any creator, the apprenticeship of creating, whether you are a painter, a songwriter, and a journalist, an author, a blogger, a live streamer, like whatever you are doing to create content, part of your rite of passage is being willing to create first drafts and early work that isn't what your later work will be. I had a conversation, and I have this conversation a lot with clients who know, my background as a journalist and all of this, and they'll say, well, it's so easy for you. You really have a gift for content. And I will be like, no. Yes, I might have a little gift for content, but who knows? I could have been gifted at horseback riding, but I didn't practice it at all. I didn't do it at all. The price that you pay for being good at something is thousands of hours of dedicated practice. Okay, let's be real here. That's how you get good at something, not because you're just naturally good. I have a natural affinity for juggling, but you're not seeing me in any circuses because there has been very little time, except for after a couple glasses of champagne when I really start to practice my juggling. So choose your preferred medium. Tip number 1, embrace sucky first drafts. That's tip number 2. Tip number 3, and this is a huge mindset one that halts people in their tracks from consistently showing up. You need to stop worrying about bugging people. And for those of you for whom this is not an issue, just ignore, just hear it for 20 seconds before I get to tip number 4. But there are some of you listening where this is your biggest hangup. You are concerned about bugging people. Oh my gosh, what will my LinkedIn contacts say? I'm at the top of their feed, and sometimes people will say, wow, you're really active, on the social platforms, whatever. Understand, your problem isn't that you're bugging people. Your problem is that not enough people know about you to be bugged in the first place. Again, the big concern about bugging people is misplaced, where I think the larger thing, number 1, is just create. Let's just start there. Let's just create and use your voice. And the second thing is, let's solve the problem you actually have, which is obscurity, right? Not bugging people. And if people are telling you that your content is bugging them, just stop listening. It's as easy. Do not allow the opinions of others to hold you back from your goals and desires. I mean, this is, personal development 101, and we still allow that to impact us. So you need to, have, again, a really clear conversation with yourself and get really clear about what you want and how you're going to get there. Okay. Now, tip number 4. So number 1, choose your preferred medium. Number 2, embrace sucky first drafts. Number 3, don't worry about bugging people. Know the real enemy, which is obscurity. Tip number 4, as you build your platform, so as you start to develop this body of consistently showing up, consistent production, consistently adding value for your audience, now you have what one of my mentors, Sharon Lecter, said was the second sexiest word in the English language, assets. She said the first sexiest word was royalties. The second sexiest word in the English language, which is assets. As you build your platform, you start to create assets, okay? And when you have an asset, you now are able to build that asset even more through partnership. So that's where you have this asset. You have your podcast, you have your live show, you have your blog. This is where you can begin to expand your audience by inviting partners to come onto your platform, and highlighting them to your audience, getting some of their audience as they are on your platform, and vice versa. You can, you invite them over for dinner, and then you get to invite yourself over for dinner. Okay. And so this is how now you are starting to not just build the audience that you created with your own creativity and content creation. Now you're able to tap into the audiences of other people. This is collaboration at its best. And so that's tip number 4. Okay. As you build your platform, expand it with partnerships. If you can put that in the comments, that would be awesome. And then finally, to quote our boy, Winston Churchill, never, ever, ever give up. All right. Again, this is a war of attrition for so many people. Even people listening to this will give up on consistent content creation before they build the audience they want. And the tragedy is they were on the path, right? They just couldn't see far enough down it to see that they were on the right path. So never, ever, ever give up. All right, there you go, my 5 tips. And again, when you look at what's going on in the economy right now, I am so passionate about doing everything I can to support small businesses, especially women entrepreneurs, because I know that 9% of all businesses, a lot of businesses are taking a hit right now. A lot of businesses are struggling, but we know that 9% of businesses not only grow through a downturn, but they are able to grow 8 to 9 times faster than their competitors on the back end of that, and really do it marketing powerfully, marketing like a leader, serving your audience. These are the core things that research into thousands of companies over multiple recessions has shown time and time again. There are best practices. What I've shared with you here is one of those best practices. If you want more, if you want to be really clear on what you need to do now on evidence-backed research and steps into what businesses that truly have been able to thrive and compete through downturns. If you want to know what that is, you want to head over to adversitymarketing.com, where I have a powerful on-demand training where you can take a look at what the research shows that's going to help you determine exactly what you need to do today and over the next couple of quarters to set up your business for long-term success. adversitymarketing.com. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. If you could share in the comments your biggest takeaway from today, I would so appreciate it. Have an awesome day, everybody. I will talk to you next week, same time, same place, the 2% scaling strategies for women entrepreneurs. All right. Bye, everybody.